being with our community tonight and for sharing a little bit of your story. Thanks. Yeah, you bet. Would you like to rather stand? Yeah. Eric, can I do that, Eric?
How are you guys tonight? So I was told you guys are like, what, 15 to 21? I can't even see you guys. You just drove in the dark. Which is probably a good thing, right? I'm incredibly honored to be here. We appreciate you hosting us as the Muslim community tonight. And I pray we continue to support each other and nurture our communities towards an everlasting peace as brothers and sisters under God. So, how many of you are 15 and I will try to see? That's a lot. So, you'll find out my age, which I have no problem with. But that's how old I was when my world completely changed. And I'll get to that in a little bit. The past 15 years have been incredibly tough on the Muslim community in America and the Western world. It's not that we had it easier before, it's just that it's still happening in our time when we should all know better. We have come to know war after we have known peace, time and time again. Muslims have been standing face to face with adversity since the Prophet Muhammad received his first revelation nearly 1,450 years ago. But despite our significant differences, our Christian and Jewish brethren have often stood with us. Your elders have asked me here today to fight the hate and oppression against your fellow Americans because, like us, they believe we cannot have peace until we get to know and love one another. Aristotle once said, and it could have been somebody else, but that's who it usually is attributed to, that it is the mark of an educated mind to be able to entertain a thought without accepting it. And that really struck me, and it has been, I think, at the bottom of my emails for the last 10, 12 years. Because despite differing ideologies, we are now gathered in the same room with the same purpose, and that's a great move in the battle for peace. So you're 15, you're what, sophomores in high school? All of you that said you're 15? Freshmen too? Great. So, I was the same age as you, like I said, when my life completely changed. I was a 15-year-old who had just left an incredibly boring 10th grade Spanish class to go fix my hair. Yes, I have it. Everybody could see it then. Long, lustrous, dark brown hair down to my waist, and I was very proud of it. It was probably my prettiest feature. And then, while I'm standing there fixing my hair in the bathroom, and by the way, I went to Mechanicsburg High School, okay? Still a Wildcat. And a Nittany Lion. Okay, do that together. And then that beep, you know, the PA system one, I wasn't even listening to it. Just heard something about terrorist attack. And for some reason, totally unbeknownst to me, my heart sank into a puddle around my feet, simultaneously thudding like a beast in my chest. And the only thought I can recall today is this spreading dread in my entire body, making me feel like my life would never be the same. And I would likely never be able to fit into a society I had been trying so hard to appease. That was what came to be known as 9/11. That was the morning. Soon thereafter, I heard of hate crimes against Muslims, Sikhs, and other religious minorities people thought were Muslim. And let me just tell you, Mechanicsburg High School today is a lot different than it was in 2002 and 1. At the time, there were 5 people in the school who were Muslim. Me, my sister, my sister, my sister, and my cousin. Muslims found themselves at the time between a rock and a hard place. We were victims of 9/11 too, and also victims of following hate crimes. We were afraid. Wives told their husbands to shave their beards. People stopped wearing culturally traditional clothing. Girls and women all over began to remove their hijabs, head coverings, and fear was permeating everything. I felt like you couldn't go out without being scared of something. Our community was reluctant to gather. Sermons preaching charity to the needy or telling people to remain devoted to God became hushed because we knew that Muslims were under government security or scrutiny. Yeah, right, security. Mosques were under surveillance. No one wanted to be talking about devotion to God and be mistaken for financially and religiously supporting terrorism. Pigs' blood and parts were left at mosque doors in desperate attempts to offend and desecrate. Qurans in mosques were burned. You think I'm talking about like the Dark Ages or something, right? No, I'm talking about 15 years ago. Some of you were born that year. That was something I had learned as a child. That's when something I'd learned as a child came back to me. True jihad was to stand up against oppression of any kind, to fight for what you believe in an effort to do good, and that if God was with you, no one could destroy you. So one day, with a sense of God-given bravery, hugging and cajoling the little bit of fear of social pressure I had in my heart, I put on a headscarf and I went to school. And I was like freaked out because I was like, somebody's gonna like say something. But it was like people didn't notice. And then I think in like third period, my friend was like, "What's up with that?" And I'm like, trying something out, bad hair day. But I thought, if someone's gonna kill me for expressing my religion, at least I could go before God and tell him that I was not ashamed to be who I was and not ashamed to believe in him. Before then, I had defied my father, been ashamed of my mom in public when she wore it. But since that day in March 2002, I've never looked back and I've never left home without it on. It's part of who I am as a human, a Muslim, and a woman. It's given me confidence that allows me to soar, that taught me to stand in front of people and lead, and stand behind them in support. I cannot explain to you the power God gave me over my life for standing up when others were pulling back. Your lesson here, don't be afraid of who you are or what you believe in. There are bigger mountains to conquer than what you see in front of you right now. Before 9/11, I never thought about the word terrorism. Honestly, I don't think I'd heard it before that day of 9/11. After 9/11, I and almost all other Muslims my age were forced to think about terrorism and become political activists. We were forced to justify our beliefs or hide them constantly, our single teenage selves, held responsible for bearing the weight of the crimes, good deeds, and bad deeds of 1.7 billion people all over the world. All different people, from different races, speaking different languages. People were afraid to ask us questions, or they assumed they knew everything there was to know about Islam and Muslims from what the media said. Ignorance breeds fear and anger, and fear should never rule a country. There are 1.7 billion Muslims, tens of factions, many different schools of thoughts, and not everyone practices the same way. Nothing has really changed since then for Muslims. We're still under scrutiny and surveillance. Hate crimes were statistically higher in 2016, after Trump ran for president, than any previous year. And it's exactly what groups like ISIL want. For peaceful communities to ostracize Muslims into feeling like they have nowhere to turn but terrorism. But that's not going to happen. Somehow those calling Islam a death cult, a barbaric religion, are pretty much on the same page as the terrorists. I have to laugh. The fear-mongering, hateful psycho filming his anti-Muslim rant apparently didn't get the memo that a Muslim invented the camera. How ungrateful. Muslims have founded incredible civilizations. Our ancestors gave the world art, architecture, and knowledge, universities and hospitals, algebra. Sorry about that. Scientific discoveries and everything from medicine to astronomy to physics. And they still are doing it. Systems like policing, appellate courts, social security, and welfare have existed in the Muslim world for over a millennia. How do you begin to call something like that barbaric, unless you have a political agenda? For ages, we've been battling the world, or bettering the world in the name of God. Get to know that narrative. Even today, Muslims are your educators, your doctors, your local business owners. We serve and die alongside non-Muslims in the U.S. military, local police, and emergency departments, and as congressmen and men and women. In fact, one Muslim congresswoman just was sworn in, I think today or yesterday. They ask why moderate Muslims, like myself, don't say anything. For one, we are. And two, we're very busy, living our lives and doing good things for our American and European communities. Political agendas have destroyed our current world. Grown men today falling victim to traps of terrorism are simply misguided youth searching for identity, or men and women who were children in foreign wars when their parents were killed and mothers raped in front of them. They're traumatized, many of them. Not that it's justified what they're doing. But people twist the word of God, they change the entire verse. For example, the other day on Facebook, I saw a verse that the Quran says God is the best of deceivers. It doesn't say that. It says God is the best of planners. It says you can plan all you want, but God has a better plan for you. So if you change that verse, it changes the meaning, and it changes what the religion is trying to say. They take verses revealed to the Prophet Muhammad in the midst of wars, which told him to fight the non-believers and kill them, because that's what you do in wars, kill your enemy, as saying that all Muslims everywhere are trying to kill non-Muslims all the time. The non-believers were idol worshippers trying to prevent religious freedom. During the revelation of the Quran, Christians and Jews served as very important allies of Muslims. In the Quran, our holy book, when Allah narrates the story of Cain killing Abel, right? Yeah. He teaches us that Muslims, and for the children of Israel, which is Jews and Christians, murdering even one innocent person is like killing all of humanity. The Quran calls for special mercy to the people of the book. If we are made in the image of God, then God's greatest attributes are His love and mercy. His justice is without fault, but His mercy has no bounds. God says in the Quran, especially about non-Muslims, O you who believe, be steadfast, witnesses for Allah in equity, and let not hatred of any people seduce you that you deal justly, and that is nearer to your duty. Observe your duty to Allah, lo Allah is informed of what you do. You will often hear a falsehood stated to demoralize Muslims. There are entire groups of people out there who refuse to acknowledge Islam as a religion. If they call it a cult, it strips Islam of religious rights protected under the U.S. Constitution. And that's what people are trying to do. It is then easier to create a Muslim registry and treat us like Jews during the Holocaust or the Japanese in America after World War II. What's the point of history if we're not going to learn from it? That's why they teach it to you in school. Misconceptions of Islam does not, Islam does not oppress women. I'm your average Muslim woman. I'm up here in front of you speaking. Is there anything that has held me back? I tried my best to practice Islam. I have a master's degree, I have a bachelor's degree, I'm a wife, I'm a mother, I drive. By the way, that is kind of silly too. During the time of the Prophet, women used to ride camels. That's like equivalent of riding an SUV. Islam prohibits the unlawful killing of people, but governments and men, no matter their affiliation to Islam, are not always adherent. And those very men and women are the people who are oppressing other women and taking away their rights. Islam doesn't say that, women can't leave the house or they can't drive or they can't do other silly normal things. Those are people in governments deciding that. And also, we're not afraid of pigs. We just don't eat them. Don't fall victim to the lies being perpetrated on televised and social media. Do your own research. You're in school, you're trying to get educated. Educate yourself about the world around you, cultures and people that you will go on to live around. And most of all, get to know a Muslim. You're always welcome to visit your local mosque, meet with students at your school or university. Almost every university has a Muslim Students Association. And we do things like whitewater rafting and, tubing. So join in. You are about as different from me as you are from a Catholic or Jew. Islam is a religion of peace. And with this last verse of the Quran, I bid you salam, peace be with you. O mankind, indeed I have created you from male and female, and made you into peoples and tribes that you may know one another. Indeed, the most noble of you in the sight of God is the most righteous of you. Indeed, Allah, or God, is knowing and